Sophomores. I'm going to show you what we're going to do for the application section for the sophomore capstone project. Now, this is essentially a modified version of what we do for the application section for the senior project. We are only limiting it to survey and interview. And with the interview, you're essentially kind of on your own with that, and you have to find somebody to interview who is related to or is an expert, I should say, on the topic that you chose to write about. For the survey, however, though, I do have a bit more direction that I want to give you for that as far as how to craft like a good survey and just kind of some surveys do's and don'ts. We're going to watch a video from Mr. Parsons about survey do's and don'ts too. But the main point is your survey, and this is kind of operating under the assumption that you're going to give the survey to other DSA students, as typically happens. But what we're going to essentially focus on is with that audience in our mindset, we're going to try to prove something. Your survey has to essentially prove something. It has to prove something in conjunction with your literature review. What I mean by that is you can take some sort of question or research study posed by your literature review that you found, that you analyzed, and maybe modify it or craft it to be a survey that you ask DSA students. So let's get started with this. What we're going to use for this survey for the sophomore capstone project is SurveyMonkey. We've used this for the senior project for the past 2 years now, this year and the year before, and it works better overall than Google Forms as far as collecting data. It makes neater looking charts and surveys and stuff like that. So I'm going to go here. I'm on the homepage here for SurveyMonkey. I'm going to click intermediate. I have enough knowledge to build surveys, and you just want to do a single survey. And I guess this doesn't really matter a ton. You could probably just put, I'm just going to put not applicable. Ooh, this is new. I have never seen this before. I just filmed a video about this last year too. I'm just going to click Microsoft Teams just so somebody doesn't come and attack me. Interesting. Okay, whatever. So we will go ahead here and we're going to create a survey. So, here's a good example. And this is new too. I kind of like this. So if you look here, it has see what kinds of insights you can discover from survey results. When you get your survey results, they're all going to kind of look something like this. Now, you can do, your survey is supposed to be about 5 questions long. Not too many more than that, not too many fewer than that. I would say 3 at bare minimum. But 5 is a good number for your survey. And if you look here, it has asking your experience with our ride sharing service, right? Right up here, it's got the little thing. And it has excellent, above average, average, below average, and poor. That's a decent question, and you could certainly include a question or two that are like that. There's no issue with that. But you should have also a few questions, I would say, that are backed up by a source, and you reference that source also in your question. I'm going to show you how to do that. These types of questions are pretty easy to do. So, for instance, if you're doing let's take our dress code example from Springboard. If you were doing surveying the student body about the dress code, that would be pretty easy, right? That would be like satisfaction based, similar to this ride sharing service one. Okay, let's go to create. I know I've got one kind of waiting in the wings that I worked on for the senior video I made. But I would also like to just do a new one too, just to kind of show you what it looks like. Yeah, so gun violence in Florida is one that I did in the past just to kind of show the seniors how it should look. But we're going to do start from scratch. We're going to do, we'll call it Sega in the 1990s. Hopefully that satiates your curiosity a little bit. You don't click buy targeted responses because that means they're going to like sell it and sell your information, all that kind of stuff. Okay. We will do one question at a time because that's more similar to the Google form, the Google form thing that you're used to, right? So we'll just do other. I don't know what that is. And then we'll click create survey. So it's creating the survey, and then once it does that, it should load up. Again, similar to Google Forms. Yes, here we go. So Sega in the 1990s. If you want to add a logo to it to give it a little bit of visual flair, that is your prerogative. You are more than welcome to do that. It might make it stand out a little bit from your peers. And we're going to do a new question here. Now, as soon as you click that, it'll ask you to type in your question. And also similar to Google Forms, you'll be choosing a category. There's a few more and also better options to go with that. But though you're going to stick to mostly multiple choice and check boxes. Okay. And the best way to prove something with like a student body or faculty, if you want to survey the faculty audience, is to ask a question that has a right answer. If it has a right answer, then you can check the student or the faculty answers, the data that you're collecting against the correct answer. So let's say a student is like making a survey about strict parenting, right? And it's like on a scale, and it's asking like, have any of your parents ever enacted this type of discipline? And some students say yes, some students say no. You shouldn't probably do that because that kind of gets into like student privacy and stuff like that. Also, by the way, if I haven't mentioned this before, I think I probably will have in class by the time you're watching this, but these surveys need to be completely anonymous, okay? I will show you how to randomize it, so don't just make it and then send it out. There's a lot more to it than that you've got to do as a student. So our first question is going to be, what are the reasons that Sega stopped making video game consoles in the late 1990s? Oh wait, no, sorry. My bad, that was early 2000s. Oh my gosh, it's embarrassing. My own video game history snubbed off. Now, it'll give like a suggestion for what it thinks you should do for that sort of question, but I'm going to do check boxes for this one, okay? I'm going to do a couple different ones. So, the other important thing, I almost missed this. In the parentheses, you should put a source for this. So the source we're going to be using for this is Business Insider. You just need to list the publication. This isn't like an MLA bibliography where you got to list like, author last name or page number or anything like that. You just need, I would say, just do the source. So we got Business Insider here. I'm going to copy and paste this one. In the last year of the Dreamcast's life, Sega lost over $200 million. That is a lot of money to lose for a company that already didn't have very much money. Okay, good. And then, so that would obviously be a correct answer. And if it's check boxes, they can select multiple. And let's see. From the 19, yeah, that's a good one. And then we'll just make up Sony sabotaged and stole some of the Dreamcast schematics and used them for the PlayStation 2. Yep, that one's not true. And then let's do one more. Let's just do one more. Let's see. The Dreamcast. This is also a correct one. Did not have a wide variety of sports titles compared to other systems. Good. And that's actually true because EA didn't really publish anything for the Dreamcast. So you've got all of those, and this is a question. The purpose of this question, you should have a purpose in mind for every question you ask. The purpose of this question is to test the audience's knowledge. You should be testing the audience's knowledge. And if a bunch of them select this third wrong answer, then it proves that they don't know why Sega is no longer a console maker. Now, this is just kind of a silly example. I don't really have an overall point to asking this question. But if you were, for instance, let's go back to my gun violence survey that I had before. If you were to do a gun violence survey, then you would be asking specific Florida questions, like what are the regular testing students now to see if they know what's required to even purchase a gun in Florida, or like what the current regulations are. So if they have a certain belief about guns, you could ask that. Let's do. Do you believe Sega should still be making consoles? That would actually probably be a better first question. For that one, you would do something like comment box. And then let's do one more new one. Let's just do multiple choice. So, let's see here. In the final here, one of the primary reasons for Sega's financial woes prior to the Dreamcast, its final system console, was doing a colon there, and then you could do. Let's see, I actually don't know what Answer Genius is, but that's okay. Let's do the Sega Saturn flopped in America and had no marquee titles. That's the correct answer. They had a large amount of unsold Genesis systems, which is untrue. And let's do a third choice. One of the CEOs was embezzling money. And last but not least, I don't know. The new CEO ran the company into the ground. I just made those last three up. So this one would be the correct answer, and you'd be testing knowledge to see what the correct answer is. So you should stick primarily to the questions like number 1 and number 3, because number 2 doesn't really give. I feel like students aren't going to like answer a ton about that if they aren't like, unless they're super invested in your survey. And so I'm gonna click save on that one, and then I think we should be able to kind of like see what it looks like after that. Let's see, there's a few other options I could go over. You can certainly play around with it, and on the work days we have for this in class, you can ask me all about like if you want to play around like a star rating or like I don't know, something like that too. If you're doing something education based, these surveys are super useful for like the education system in America. I'm trying to think of some of the other topics you guys have. Most of you chose topics that will lend themselves well to surveys, but you are also free to do an interview. So I'm going to click next. And it gives you a couple like handy things over here, like estimated completion. It takes 1 minute to complete, so that'll be something students see, which is kind of good to see, because then you know you're not. This is what it would look like when I actually went through it, or when I actually go through it. You can kind of just go question by question here. Okay, make sure that there's not like a ton of typos. Well, I forgot to put a source for the third one. You will need to put a source for in parentheses or a link for every. Don't put the link, because then students will just click the link and try and find the right answer. Just put a source though, like exactly how I did right here. Okay, if that makes sense. Then we'll click next because we have everything all set up here, and it should load up and give me a URL that you can just copy and paste into an email randomizer. And that's weird. Whatever. Okay, well I guess it's the end of the video then. But there wasn't really much else to show anyways. Essentially then you get the email, and what you'll end up getting after everything is said and done, I'm going to show you kind of just briefly here. a couple sample or one sample survey application that one of my seniors did this year from Miss Valentina Castro. So this is, again, ignore the APA formatting stuff here. Yours will obviously be an MLA format. It'll look somewhat similar to this. She did hers on Instagram and teenagers' mental health. So for my survey, I decided to randomly choose 10 students from each grade in Divine Savior Academy, meaning there were 40 students in all. It's being a little pokey here. Just give it a sec. There we go. So she talks and talks and talks about it. In this, you're supposed to write about this. You need to talk about your survey at length and what it proves in the paper. But you also should include, this is what SurveyMonkey will eventually spit out at you once you have a bunch of answers. So you see she got 27 answers here. What grade are you currently in? That's a good thing to ask. You could maybe even include that as one of your 5 questions. How much would you say you use Instagram on a daily basis? There's a very good question too. 30 minutes, 1 to 2 hours. Really good data here, actually. This one's a little bit, overall, I would say this survey is a bit more on the, kind of like a how do you feel type thing. And that worked fine for this. But you should really include questions like I showed you as well, too. Okay? How has Instagram affected the way you view your own body image? So yeah, really good stuff here too. And as long as you use these types of questions and include data from your literature review too to compare it with, then you should be good to go. Okay, that's essentially what you're doing with that. That's all I'm going to show you for this one. We'll talk a bit more about what to do with SurveyMonkey in class as far as how to distribute it. Again, once you get to this step that I apparently got blocked at for whatever reason, you get a URL, and that's the URL you can send out to students. But I will show you how to do a randomizer for that in class. Okay? Please email me if you have any questions about this video, and I would be happy to help you. Have a wonderful day.